because I'm very pleased to now introduce our third speaker today, Siddharth Rana from Agricentral, where he's the founder of this company, and he's also the digital lead for Olam in India. Welcome, Siddharth. Are you with us? Go for it.
Okay, great. So good morning, everyone, and maybe good evening, good night in other parts of the world. Here is Siddharth Rana from India. As Alison said, I am with Olam, and I'm leading the digital vertical in India. And I'm also kind of a founder for a startup called Agricentral. Agricentral is a part of Olam's futuristic vision towards building a large farmer services platform. And Olam is taking it quite seriously, especially as many of you know that Olam works very extensively with the smallholder farmers. And in the countries where typically, other corporates are not that much present. So Olam has been working with millions of farmers for quite some times, in terms of, giving them extension, giving them inputs, as well as buying their produce. But now with the whole, uptick in terms of, uptake of digitally delivered, information, as well as, the penetration of smartphones and internet in many of the middle income and even low income countries, including India. There has been a conscious thought inside Olam that how do we leverage this digital access to reach out to more farmers, including those who may not be doing anything with Olam, who may not be selling their crops to Olam, or may not even be growing the crops which Olam buys and trades in the world markets, and build a standalone and eventually sustainable business out of that. So I'll just start off with our experience in in communicating with the farmers. But before that, I'll just give you a little bit of introduction about what Agricentral is and how it works for the farmers. Okay. So this is our vision, mission that, to help farmers make better decisions using technology-driven information and advisory that's delivered at scale digitally. As I think a couple of previous speakers noted, that, digital is the way when you want to reach any kind of users at a large scale and cost effectively, and thereby empowering the farmers to increase their profitability in a sustainable manner, sustainable not only economically but also ecologically, and the other definitions of sustainable are included when we say sustainable. Okay, so this is how Agricentral has been built. So we give smallholder farmers information and decision support in 5 Indian languages. Apart from English, which is quite well spoken in India, we have 4 other languages: Hindi, Marathi, Kannada, and Telugu. Okay, and with that, we deliver the farmers information over a free Android application, mobile application. And these are 6 key services that we give to the farmers. The first one is pest and disease management. It goes by the name crop care. We have currently 33 crops, and we are building advisory content on more crops. So by this year end, we have a target to reach 50 crops. Within that, we cover 1,200 pest and disease. And daily on our platform, we see more than 10,000 farmers diagnosing their crops problems. Then the next one is a crop plan, which delivers good farming practices to the farmers. So on the application, farmers get for the day what needs to be done in their farm based on their crop, based on their type of cultivation, and some other parameters. We give them the package of practices. In this one, we have 39 crops. Out of them, 33 are common between crop care and crop plan. And we also cover, when we talk about inputs in whatever stage of the farming, be it pre-sowing fertilization, or be it weeding through weedicides, or eventually some micronutrients. So we have close to 800 chemicals, and within that we publish 4,000 brands. As of now, we have no inputs business, but a lot of the times farmers don't understand the chemical names. And when they go out to buy the chemicals in the markets, they need to know a brand. And a lot of farmers are showing these brand pictures to the local dealers or retailers, and through that they are buying. And so that's the whole idea behind showing the exact brands to the farmers. The third one is a quite popular feature for the farmers. We call it market view. Within that, farmers can see their crops prices nearby in the nearby markets as well as far off markets. So it's a very telescopic kind of view that when you start off, you see the nearby markets, but you can filter out to see your state's markets and then your country's, which is India's markets. In that, we cover 114 crops, close to 1,700 markets, and more than 15,000 price points. So each price point is basically a combination of a crop, its variety, and the location. And these three are the determinants largely of any agricultural good. So we specify, all these three parameters when we talk about a price on that day. The fourth one is also a heavily popular feature among the farmers, wherein we give them agri or rural relevant news to the farmers. And within that, we also cover, the government schemes, subsidies, any programs for the farmers, crop insurance, fertilizer subsidy, and so on. So we have so far published 238 government schemes. We publish every week more than 70 news articles. And the third feature within this bulletin is agri events. So if you have any agri expo nearby you as a farmer, or any Krishi Mela as we call in Hindi, agri fair, or any such events where farmers can go and interact with other farmers or providers of any kind of services or products to the farmers, or even government officials when they organize such events, we put that out into the application and farmers can see the location where it is going to be held, the date and time, and they can save in their calendar. So it is linked with your Google Calendar as well as Google Map, so that you can see the distance to the venue as well. The fifth one is again a very interactive feature, and farmers call it like a Facebook for farmers. We call it Farm Voice. In that, farmers can communicate with the fellow farmers. They can share their problems. They can give solution to other farmers. They can share their success stories. So basically, you can upload your pictures. You can upload video links, and we also tried to solve some of the queries of the farmers where we see either other users are not able to respond, or if we see too many conflicting opinions, so we try to give our official version as Agricentral, but it is largely community driven platform. And the sixth one is weather, wherein we have I think the longest weather horizon in terms of any agricultural app in India. We give 15 days forecast to the farmers. And within that, we give a very micro level forecast in terms of 3 hourly updates to the farmers. Now, this has been the kind of growth that we've seen for Agricentral. We launched it just on the New Year's Eve, in 2019. And then, as I said, it's free for the farmers. Since then, we have seen, a good growth. And now currently we are at 4.63 million downloads. I would like to share that, for the first 5 or 6 months, the growth was very, very slow because we hadn't really cracked the digital way of communication. And we have been meeting the farmers mostly on ground, meeting the farmers' cooperatives, the farmer producer organizations, as we call FPOs in India, and so on. And, doing village level meetings in some village temple or, at a meeting place. So, and in each meeting, we would have, 30 to 40 farmers only. So it was quite a slow progress. But eventually we figured out, in fact, the light bulb moment was for me personally that if it's a digital app, which is going to be seen by farmers and used by the farmers who are on a smartphone having internet connection, then they must be on other platforms. So why not let us go and meet them where they would be found? And I'll show you some of the examples of that. Currently, we have users in more than 30 states of India. And it was a proud moment when we got featured as one of the best made in India applications by Google itself. Yeah, so this has been a kind of validation. You can go to Google Play Store and search for Agricentral. You can read the reviews and comments. Now this is what I call it as a communication. Sorry, just wanted to. Yeah, so basically, this is a typical persona of a farmer called Nagabhushan. He is a smallholder from Anantapur, a drought-prone district in Andhra Pradesh. He cultivates maize on his 3 acres land, but is not at all happy with the yields as well as his cost of cultivation, which goes up every year. He's always in doubt also that if he's getting the fair produce of his maize, fair price of his produce after all this hard work. So in our opinion, he will surely benefit by using Agricentral. But the question is that how does he know that Agricentral exists? How does he discover, or how do we reach him? How will he know that Agricentral can help solve his problems? And how do we, once we have established some contact, how do we remain engaged with him? So these are the three big questions we face every day while communicating with the farmers. And why these questions become even more difficult to solve is because of these hurdles. Right? So first of all, since we have a lot of written content which needs to be read to use Agricentral, is he educated enough to use Agricentral? Is he educated enough to first of all find Agricentral and download and do the registration on his own? Then does he have a smartphone with internet, right? While smartphone penetration in India is a phenomenal story in itself, and Jelsi, sorry, mentioned just a few minutes back that India has one of the cheapest rates with 50 cents per GB data. And so the proliferation of smartphones and internet has been, especially mobile internet, has been phenomenal. But there are still a lot of farmers who are either having no kind of phone at all, or having the legacy feature phone, right? So by definition, we are restricted towards smartphone users. So we need to know if he has a smartphone with internet. Then in India, there are more than 25 major languages and hundreds of other languages. So do we have Agricentral in Naga's language? Okay, so we don't call it a gap on his side, but the onus is on us to provide in that language which the user understand, which the farmer understand. And do we cover maize as a crop? Okay, because he would be interested in maize only. Then where can we meet him? Okay, on ground, digitally, on what media should we look for farmers like Nagabhushan? And then the biggest question of all is that will Nagabhushan trust us? Because the trust is a key factor in the entire communication, entire puzzle, in fact. And even if you reach a farmer, even if you convince them, is your advisory and information relevant enough? It is useful enough to trust it over and above, what the local retailer is saying, what the local middleman is saying when they are buying the produce, or even the fellow farmers are saying. If there's any conflict in opinion or information, would he trust us over the other sources, right? And this extension is a serious business. I think quite a few people in this room know that farmers' entire livelihood for that crop season depends on that. So farmers should be very, very, you can say skeptical when they are, experimenting with any new medium and any new player, especially when they don't have a face attached, right? So these are some of the challenges when we do things digitally at scale, and you can call it mass personalization if you like. Okay, now how are we trying to solve some of these questions? Okay, so first of all, how do we reach Nagabhushan? Again, the same questions. We have come full circle to look at them. Okay, so as I said, since our target audience base is internet connected farmers, we would like to meet them where they are most likely to be found. And in India, the top three applications as far as social media is concerned are WhatsApp #1, Facebook #2, and YouTube #3. And we know already quite a few farmers are using YouTube videos to look at good agricultural practices and any new tools and techniques. Then we try to introduce Agricentral to him in a language that he understands. Okay, and through an engaging story that he can relate with, we try to introduce Agricentral. So I'll just show some of these, stories so that we can just relate. Okay. Yeah. One second. I hope my audio is working fine. Yeah, 1 second. I'll just use this link. So this is a very, very basic animation video, I would say, but this has really worked wonders for us, in terms of reaching out to the farmers and telling them about Agricentral. Yeah.
हमारे युवा किसान सत्यवान से शहर से पढ़कर आया ये नौजवान वैज्ञानिक तरीकों से खेती करता है और भरपूर फसल उगाता है।
Somehow with the sharing I'm not able to.
किसान किशन
make it so.
बेचकर शहर चला जाता, कोई ना कोई काम ले जाएगा।
सत्यवान ने कुछ सोचकर किशन लाल की 3 एकड़ जमीन 5 लाख रुपए में खरीद ली और किशन लाल ने शहर का रुख किया। जब वह गांव वापस आया तो देखता है कि उसके खेत का तो काया पलट हो गया।
सत्या भाई, मैं अपना खेत वापस लेना चाहता हूँ, क्या कहते हो? भैया बुरा मत मानना, पर मैं इसे बेचना नहीं चाहता। इस खेत पे बहुत मेहनत की है मैंने। ये तो सरासर बेईमानी है। मैं ये मामला पंचायत में ले जाऊंगा। भैया, जब जमीन आपके पास थी तो एकड़ की मुश्किल से 4 क्विंटल सोयाबीन होती थी, अब पूरे 9 क्विंटल उतरती है। ये तुमने कैसे किया? और पैदावार बढ़ती गई। इस ऐप में है मेरे 6 सच्चे साथी। पहला है क्रॉप प्लान, ये मुझे अपनी
Okay, so I'll just pause here. So I hope I'm audible.
Yeah, no, that's good. That gives us a good example. That's probably enough. We've just sort of seen a bit of a really good example. So thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, I think basically, this one is about, a farmer who comes back from a city and, does and tries to do farming, but he does in a modern way, and he acquires a plot of another farmer which was not producing too much yield. But when he does all that Agricentral says and does, take a good crop out of that, the farmer who sold him, he wants to take the land back, and they get into a dispute. So while he goes to the village panchayat, as we call in India, it's like a community where they solve the village's problem. The head of the panchayat gets interested in how he turned around the farm, and then he introduces, Agricentral. Apart from that, I'll just
1 minute, Siddharth, before
yeah.
end. Yep. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. So we also try to give them examples of how Agricentral can help them solve relatable problems. So I'll just show you that one. So, and we try to do that through so this is a YouTube influencer. These are farmers. The guy in the turban, he runs a YouTube channel with more than 4.5 million subscribers, and through them we take some interviews, give some real life examples of how farmers can use Agricentral and benefit out of that. I'll not really play the video. Of course, I can share the presentation with anyone who is interested. Okay, and then I'll just move on to the remaining pieces, which are basically once we have onboarded these farmers. Okay, but yeah, just before I move on to that, these influencers help us a great deal in getting heard, as well as they have a lot of credibility and trust among the farmers. So we through their influence we get some entry towards farmers. Okay, but after that we use the in-app feature called Farm Voice, where the farmers can ask their questions, can share their problems, and if you can see on your right hand side, we also try to reply those questions. And this is a very engaging platform within the application, within Agricentral. Apart from that, we use notifications quite heavily to remind the farmers about what's happening in their farm today, what activity they need to do, and also towards news bulletin items which could be very relevant to the farmers. We have a small call-in feature wherein farmers can dial a number and record their calling preference and their language in which they want to be called back. And our team of agri experts, they call the farmers and understand their query and try to resolve. And we have a very vibrant Facebook page of ourselves where we publish a lot of content, and farmers are engaged through that. Okay, so yeah, by the time it loads, I think this is from my side when it comes to how we are communicating with the farmers, as well as what Agricentral has to offer to the farmers. This is my email ID. You can connect with me on this email. And thank you very much. Looking forward to the questions.
Great, Siddharth. Thank you so much. Excellent presentation. I actually really like the examples. How do you choose those influencers, those YouTube influencers? Do you just go search through and see who's posting on YouTube and which farmers are saying what, or do you go and ask farmers to be your YouTube influencers? What's your approach?
Yeah, I think largely we have found these YouTubers, because they are so popular, right? For example, this person, Darshan Singh, he has this channel called Farming Leader. He has close to 5 million subscribers. There are quite a few with 3 million, 2 million subscribers. So when we, for example, started to build our own videos and started to put on YouTube, YouTube itself gives, similar videos. I think it was quite organic discovery that we kept on finding these YouTubers. And since myself and quite a few other members in the team are there in the sector for some time, we have some prior knowledge of these YouTubers. Most of them are interestingly themselves farmers. So out of their urge to educate other farmers, since they are farmers and educated and young, in fact, they some of them want to help other farmers with new techniques and all. So from that urge, they started their channels, and now they are quite popular.
Do you have any women farmer influencers on YouTube?
Unfortunately, not too many, Alison. In fact, like many other, middle income and low income countries, in India too, although women's participation in workforce actually is very high, even in farming sector, but even their access to phones is quite limited. And when we see some of the data, like, who has seen our videos and all that, I think women's participation, even in audience, is close to 10 to 20%, in that range, and the average would be 12%, I would say. So that's a sad reality.
Okay, and is there something that you're doing to try and increase or reach out to women farmers through Agricentral?
Nothing too specific, because first of all, we want to reach out to the farmers. But off late, we have started to create more women characters in the videos. And for example, our latest video about Farm Voice is about a farmer who doesn't know too much about applications and all, but his wife, while sitting in the farm, she was using her phone. And the farmer says that, why are you chatting on the phone while I'm working hard? So she says, no, I'm trying to help you out. And then she introduces the app to her husband. So this is the way we're trying to build a different story around it.
Okay. Now, I've got a couple of questions. We have to be very quick now because we're running out of time. But one is, do you have a forewarning or early warning and forecasting services for pests and diseases in the crops location?
Yeah, we are in the process of building that now, because when the farmers use our app, they also upload their pictures of their crop, and based on that, we are building a big ML and AI, machine learning and AI based tool, which will help us give very timely information to the farmers, including forecasting.
Excellent. Another quick question here is, what are you doing during the pandemic? How do you effectively communicate and engage the farmers during social distancing? Or actually, do you have on your app any messaging around COVID?
Sure.
And safety?
No, in fact, we use our influence very heavily to educate the farmers on all the containment practices and hygiene and safekeeping during COVID times. So we must have published more than 1,200 different kind of messages, short videos, and other content onto the application, and otherwise as well on Facebook and YouTube. And in fact, we have been cited in Olam's annual report as one of the key examples of how we educated farmers on COVID management.
Excellent. Okay, hey, thank you so much for joining us. Very interesting. There's lots of great information for people to click onto and discover more about Agricentral, and we're very pleased to have had you join us this morning. So thank you so much.
And all the panelists as well as the audience. Thank you very much.